Welcome back. We're going to finish up the notes that we started on solving quadratics. So when I left y'all, we had just stopped and I asked y'all to work on these next three. So for the next three, we're going to solve for the roots. For the first one, we're going to set each factor equal to 0. So we have 3y minus 5 equals 0, and y minus 2 equals 0. So solve for y, so plus 5 cancels. Left with 3y equals 5, divide by 3, divide by 3. So we have a root for 5/3, so one solution. And then add 2. Next root, we have a root of 2. So 5/3 and 2 are ours. And you can verify using Desmos. I'm going to move through these just relatively quickly. So just to verify, you could throw these up into Desmos and you should still see the same answer. For the next two, we need to factor, but for the next one, we can factor outright because it's already in standard form. So when we factor, we have a coefficient on our second degree term is 1, so we just need to find factors that are of -12 that add up to be 1. Because our third term is a negative, we know that we're going to have an x plus and an x minus factor. So factors of 12, -12 would be 4 and 3. And if I was to add them to be 1, one of these need to be negative, and so that would have to be -3 plus 4 to get 1. So I have my factors. Now I need to solve for my zeros, so x plus 4 equals 0, and x minus 3 equals 0. Solve for the first factor. Solve for the first 0 on the first factor, so subtract 4 on both sides, you get x equals -4. So one solution, add 3 on the second factor, have a solution of x equals 3. So here are two solutions for problem number 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, last one on this page. The big thing is that we need to put this in standard form. We can't factor until it is in standard form. So to do that, we need to add 36 to the other side. When you do that, you have x squared minus 12x plus 36. Now we can factor, so we're going to factor. So we're looking for factors of 36 that add up to -12. So we ended with a positive, so that way we know our factors are going to be the same. But they add up to be a negative, so we're going to have an x minus type of situation. Because a negative times a negative is a positive, and if we were to combine those two negatives, we would still get a negative if we were to take the sum of them. So factors of 36 that add up to be -12, that would be -6 times -6. So we need to, now that we have our factors of x minus 6, x minus 6, and now we need to set those equal to 0 to find our zeros. Luckily, since they're the same thing, we can just do this once. So x minus 6 equals 0. Add 6 to both sides. You get x equals 6. So this would be our 0 for this quadratic. Alright, last page. For this one, there's a couple of different songs that people have set the quadratic formula to kind of help y'all remember it. But it will be on your formula sheet. So knowing standard form is ax squared plus b plus c. I'm saying ax squared plus bx plus c. The coefficients, the references of a, b, and c are to those in the quadratic formula. So if I was to write that over the first one, so writing that over the first one, my a value is 1, my b value is 3, and my c value is 2. What you then do is then you just substitute in, so we want to know our roots. So x equals, where x is going to be our root values, negative b, so negative 3, plus or minus square root of b squared, so 3 squared, minus 4ac, where a is 1 and c is 2, all over 2a, which is 2, and a was 1, so 2 times 1. Simplify as much as you can. So 4 times 1 times 2 is going to be 8. 3 squared is 9. So this is going to simplify to b. So we have negative 3 plus or minus square root. 3 squared is 9. 4 times 2 is going to be 8, so it's still minus 8. Over 2 times 1, 2. 9 minus 8 is 1. X equals negative 3 plus or minus square root of 1 over 2. Square root of 1 is 1, so we have x equals negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 1 all over 2. Now, you may be thinking, well, Mr. Parker, when we were at the top, when we took the square root of something, we had the plus or minus already there. Well, that's why this formula already has the plus or minus. This is taking into account both roots. So that's where this plus or minus happens, and at this point is where we're going to break it up. We're going to solve for when our root is positive. So let's change this color. We're going to solve for when our root is positive. So we'll have x equals negative 3 plus 1 over 2. And then we're going to solve for our negative root. And that's going to be x equals negative 3 minus 1 over 2. So this is what happens when you simplify up to here. Now we need to solve for both roots. We break off. And let's go back to this. So negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2 over 2. Negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. So this is our first root. And then for our other root, negative 3 minus 1 is going to be negative 4. Negative 4 divided by 2 is going to be negative 2. So we have roots at x equals negative 1 and x equals negative 2. So our roots are negative 1 and negative 2. So solving for the next one, remember it's ax squared plus bx plus c. Our a value here is going to be 1. B is negative 2. So minus 2, so that's a negative 2. And then our c value is going to be negative 8. Plug it in, so it's x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b, oops, out so well, of, man, so we have b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So then we're going to simplify. Notice that I wrote negative b as negative times negative 2. I wanted to show you all of that, so don't just think since this is negative that we're going to drop that. You're not. You're multiplying it. You're doing the inverse of this. So negative 1 times negative 2 is going to be 2. So we have 2 plus or minus the square root. Negative 2 squared will be 4. Negative 4 times 1 times negative 8. So negative 4 times negative 8 is going to be positive 32 over 2 times 1, 2. 4 plus 32 is going to be 36. The square root of 36 is going to be 6. So right now we're at 2 plus or minus 6 over 2. And at this point we're going to break up and we're going to look at both our positive and negative root. So I'm going to have a positive root. That's going to be x equals 2 plus 6 over 2. 2 plus 6 is 8. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So I have one root of x equals 4. Now I need to solve for my negative root, so I have x equals 2 minus 6 over 2. 2 minus 6 is negative 4. Negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. So here are my roots. And again, if you want to check, you can check using Desmos by putting the quadratics into Desmos. But please know how to factor and solve for those zeros because it's very important on knowing how to do that. Alright, last one. I'd like you to pause just as a hint though before you do pause. Is it in standard form? If it's not, we need to set it in standard form. So go ahead and pause, and I'd like you to try to solve this one on your own. Start to solve this. We have x squared minus 4x minus 117 equals 0. I'm going to write underneath of it, standard form again is ax squared plus bx plus c. And then knowing that our a value is 1, our b value is negative 4, and our c value is negative 117. We're then going to plug that in to x equals, and the tune, and I am tone deaf, is usually, my algebra teacher taught me was x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. There's that one. There's also one where someone did it to a Soulja Boy rap song, and if I can find that, I can let you all watch that because that can be quite enjoyable to watch. But that's just a way to remember it. Again, it is on the formula sheet, but it's just a little easy remembrance tool mnemonic to kind of help you all with that. So x equals, so we got negative b, so that's going to be negative 4 plus or minus the square root of b squared, so negative 4 squared minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is negative 117, all over 2a, which is 2 times 1. Alright, so let's start to simplify. So we got negative 4, so we got x equals 4 plus or minus. Square root of negative 4 is 16. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. Negative 4 times negative 117 is 468. 2 times 1 is 2. So then we have x equals 4 plus or minus the square root. 16 plus 468 is 484. And then if I was to take the square root of 484, you would see that x equals 4 plus or minus 22 over 2. And now we need to start to solve for the positive and negative roots. So let's solve for the positive root first. 4 plus 22 divided by 2. 4 plus 22 is 26. 26 divided by 2 is 13. So we have a root of x equals 13. And then I need to solve for the negative root. So we have x equals 4 minus 22 divided by 2. So 4 minus 22 is going to be negative 18 divided by 2. So x equals negative 9. So our two roots are x equals 13 and x equals negative 9. Hopefully that helped. Please remember you can always email me or reach out to me and I'll help in any way that I can. Take your time with this. If you're still having difficulty with factoring, please let me know and we will work on some practice problems together. As of right now, I'm only planning to stream on Friday. However, if y'all would like me to stream more, if you could please email me to let me know, because the attendance has been kind of low on the live streams, and I don't want to burden y'all with an extra time schedule to think about. But if you would like me to stream some more this week and next week, let me know just via email or in Google Classroom. Alright, I hope you're all doing well. I miss y'all, and I will talk to you later.